Good evening. Today, with thank you for joining the Global News Roundup. I'm your host, Josh Wetzel, and tonight we're going to bring you a comprehensive look at the major geopolitical, economic, environmental, and technological developments shaping our world in 2025. From climate security and geostrategic tensions to AI summits and economic transformation, these are the headlines, the stories you need to know. Let's dive in. First-time climate emergencies has escalated into the global security threat. At the COP30 taking place in Belém, Brazil, indigenous leaders have staged major protests, blockading entrances and demanding greater representation and stronger climate action. In a historic move, Iceland has officially classified climate distortion, specifically the potential collapse of the Atlantic meridional overturning circulations AMOC as a national security risk. European leaders are warning that climate change is cascading effects from rising sea levels and droughts to extreme weather could fuel future conflicts over resources. On the temperature front, in 2025, on a track to be the second or third hottest year on record, according to the World Meteorological Organization, these alarming climate trends are not just environmental, they have geopolitical implications, threatening security, mitigation, and global stability. Geopolitical and global lists to the landscape in 2025 is a year of deepening instability. The World Economic Forum Global Risk Report identifies state based arms conflicts as the most pressing immediate risk, followed by disinformation. Cyber warfare and climate extremes, armed conflict, climate disruption, and disinformation are increasingly interconnected, driving uncertainty into economies worldwide. The 17th BRICS Summit, held in Rio de Janeiro, also spotlighted global governance, signaling an enhanced cooperation among global South nations that could disrupt along economic confidence. AI technology and economic transformation continues to reshape our world in both opportunity and risk. Technology continues to reshape our world in both opportunity and risk. In 2025 of February, leaders gathered in Paris for the AI summit hosted by France and India. The summit highlighted massive investments, over 200 billion euros pledged to the AI infrastructure, with ambitions to build gigafactories across Europe. At the same time, global experts warn the generative AI is becoming a geopolitical tool that nations compete for data sovereignty and innovation dominance. Economically, internationally, Monetary Fund projects that the AI could boost average global GDP growth significantly between 2025 and 2030, but warns to trade-offs in energy and resource policy. On the flip side, academics are framing AI not just as opportunity, but also existential risk, calling for stronger governance, alignment, and investment to safety. Economic shifts in the labor trends is undergoing profound transformation. The global economy is undergoing profound transformation, and the World Economic Forum in 2025, which is defined by the megaforce AI, climate transition, demographic shifts, and geopolitical fragmentation. Labor markets are shifting rapidly. AI sustainability and green economy roles are replacing traditional routine jobs. Labor markets are shifting rapidly. I mentioned that these strategical changes are fueling a global investment paradigm, long term thematic investing, infrastructure, and net zero emissions, as well, as well as finances, are becoming top investment priorities. Yet economic inequality and fragmentation remain a risk as developmental economies navigate the challenges of the AI adoption, energy policy, and capital flow, which is all a scam in my opinion. Water scarcity and resource competition beyond temperature rises and other resources under critical stress. The scarcity of water is emerging and growing a threat globally, with billions potentially facing seasonal or chronic shortages. Regions across Africa, South Asia, and the Middle East are experiencing increasing tensions over transboundary water rights, raising the risk of resource driven conflict. The interplay between climate change, water scarcity, and national security is becoming more pronounced, underscoring how environmental stressors are no longer just ecological problems but sources of geopolitical risk. The indigenous rights and climate justice at the COP30, one of the defining struggles is the fight for the environmental justice, particularly in the Amazon, and more significant seat at the negotiating table. The protests highlight a wider tension about fossil fuel interests versus indigenous sovereignty. Critics argue that fossil lobbyists hold disproportionate influence in climate talks. These four dynamics underscore that climate action must be deeply intersectional, addressing not just emissions, but rights, equity, and the protection of frontline communities. The global security and the military strategies, the intersection of climate and security is reshaping and our planning. The risk of climate driven conflict is rising, and defense institutions are recognizing that the climate change isn't just a humanitarian issue, it's a strategic one. The innovation and sustainability, the risk there is growing push for innovative solutions as at the COPD 30. Efforts are underway to finance forest protection and support green infrastructure to address both climate socioeconomic challenges. The Earthshot Prize, a global environmental award, continues to spotlight breakthrough solutions in 2025. The winners include organizations using AI plus satellite data to restore forests and protect biodiversity. This blend of technology, sustainability, and social impact offers a hopeful path forward even amid geopolitical and environmental turbulence. Looking ahead as we move through the rest of 2025, there are several key trends to monitor. Will global powers agree on shared frameworks to govern generative AI? Will more countries formalize climate risk as national security risks? Can economics adapt to mega forces of AI and green transition without fragmenting? Will water scarce regions force new cooperations or see new conflict? Indigenous empowerment will frontline communities win greater leverage in climate decisions making. That concludes this part of the speech. Give me 1 second. All right, we're going to move into the president's path and today's challenges, which in Washington, the president is navigating a complicated landscape marked by economic restructuring. All righty, the president's path through today's challenges. In Washington, the president is navigating a complicated landscape marked by economic restructuring, immigration pressures, national security concerns, and a rapidly advancing technology sector. The key priorities is strengthening the middle class amid the job market shifts, negotiating bipartisan frameworks on border reform and public safety, as well as expanding investment in AI infrastructure, cybersecurity, and workforce retraining. Addressing energy policy, balancing affordability along with term sustainable, managing rising concerns over misinformation and election interference. While the administration has pushed forward several initiatives, progress is often slowed by a Congress divided not only between parties, but increasingly within. Infighting in both major U.S. political parties is divide in America, which is no longer just left and right, it's also internal fragmentation. Inside the president's party, lawmakers are split between a centrist bloc focused on economic stability, energy expansion, and gradual reform, a progressive wing demanding aggressive climate action, expanding social programs, and border tech regulations. This differences frequently stall negotiations and force the presidents to broker delicate compromises just to keep the legalization moving or legislation moving. The opposition party and the dynamics are similar. Traditional conservatives emphasize fiscal discipline, national security strength, and business driven growth. Populist factions push for sharper rhetoric on immigration, trade, and cultural issues, and this eternal struggle will shape everything from funding bills to foreign policy positions, creating an unpredictable voting patterns and limiting bipartisan cooperation. The resulting Congress, where coalition shifts seek to weak, making long-term policy making more difficult. What the American people can do to shape their government, despite the gridlock, the influence of ordinary Americans who feel diminished. In fact, in a polarized era, citizens' engagement matters more than ever. Here's what voters can do to ensure the government works for everyone, which is to stay consistently informed. A healthy democracy relies on a well informed public, seek out credible news sources, avoid unverified rumors, and stay updated on how policy actually affects communities. Voting is essential, but real impact also comes from participation, attending local town halls, speaking with representative offices, and supporting issues based organizations, and joining civic forums and community groups. Local engagement shapes national outcomes more than most people realize. Hold leaders accountable, respectively and persistently, regardless of the party's elected official who responds to sustained organized feedback, calls, emails, petitions, and public testimony, place pressure on policy priorities. Support constructive dialogue. Political change accelerates when voters resist polarization and encourage solutions focused conversations. When the public rewards compromise, leaders follow. Vote in local and state elections. Many policies that affect daily life, which is schools, transportation policy, utilities, are decided at the state and local levels, and these elections often hinge on a very small groups. Americans can demand governance that prioritizes facts, measurable outcomes, and accountability, ensuring programs serve the public, not just their interests. As the president works through a maze of domestic and global challenges, and as both political parties continue to battle internal divisions, one truth remains consistent. America's direction is shaped not only in Washington, but in the living rooms, classrooms, community halls, and workplaces across the country. The future of America and democracy depends on a population that stays engaged, informed, and committed to a government that reflects the will and well being of all of its people. Thank you for joining us today and extending a hand to stay informed and stay involved, and have a good night. Thank you.